Episode 1 of Outlander. Blood of My Blood begins with Red Jacob Mackenzie's death. Ellen Mackenzie is his eldest child, but since she is a girl, she isn't allowed to organize the funeral. No successor were named. Someone else, not of our name or of our blood. The gathering will decide if it will be the eldest but sickly son, Colum, or the brawny and temperamental Dougal. Her servant gave her a bonny, wee lass, which her father protected for some reason. In a flashback, this is Mackenzie Brooch. Ellen refuses to marry, and Red Jacob agrees as he dotes on her. He gives her a brooch and plaid of their clan, reserved only for the men, hinting that he sees her as an equal, and to be worn with Mackenzie plaid. Our clothes tells a story. Mansacked. He teaches her everything there is to learn, and she becomes his advisor. At present, servant advice her not to be worry about anything. She asked, how can you say that everyone can accept me as a successor and will listen to my opinion on every matter? We must wait to see what will come for us. She said, both of your sister got married and taken care of. You also think about that. She said, I'm thinking about married at the day of my father funeral. At present, Ellen wears the plaid and brooch to the funeral. Her younger sister, Jocasta, is embarrassed by their father as he died in a manner befitting the way he lived. She also hates that Ellen was the favorite child and gets to lead the procession. Colum's wife, Letitia, and their third sister are not so opinionated. Jocasta said, as a married woman, you should take the precedence in this procession. You, Letitia, should be beside the Colum, leading the way, setting an example for what's to come. But Colum is not yet laird. Some past flashback. Ellen was playing chess with her father. He told her that I'm teaching you and your brother this game to be patient, to lure, to manipulate and strike without mercy. This is the message about life. Later, Dougal and his men thwart a raid by a rival clan. They killed all of them. He is aggressive and relishes the violence. He told him, take this message, I'm Dougal Mackenzie. And if you come to plunder Mackenzie land, then I'll kill you all. Then, pass the fingers. Dougal wonders if they are Frasers. They'll again attack. Through the clan lawyer, Ned Gowan, we learn that there's a long-standing grudge between Frasers, Grants, and Mackenzies. Lawyer Ned Gowan told them that your father has died without telling us the name of successor. Colum is the diplomatic and patient son, which constantly puts him at odds with his younger brother as they both fight for lairdship. The clan can never be chosen outside of the family. They'll vote to ensure that he has to show a strong leader whose actions speaks louder than words. Elsewhere, a young Murtagh is trying to convince his cousin, Brian Fraser, to go to the Mackenzie gathering for some drama and entertainment. Brian, while playful, prioritizes his duties as his position is precarious due to his illegitimate status. His father, Lovat, celebrates the death as he believes Red Jacob helped strip his title and steal Fraser land. He is quite the schemer as he orders Brian to accompany Murtagh to spy on the Mackenzie gathering. I want to know who's in attendance. Who's talking to whom? He advised them to open your eyes and ears. Because their clan will choose a successor, many will be willing to this position. Brian said you're in need of spy. I've suffered indignities all these years. I have lost land, wealth, and favor. So I'll not miss this chance to reverse my position. They are interrupted by the new English maid, Julia. He caught her hand, but at the same time, Lovat tries to hit on her. Brian and the head cook do their best to stop his advances. Alone, the head cook warns Julia to not draw attention. You've to know about the people who live here. Julia said Master Brain and Master Murtagh were there, but he doesn't care who's witness. You've to be unseen. They'll use you as a furniture. She becomes worried. Back in Leoch, the gathering begins. Ellen and Colum were talking about the successor. Ellen supports Colum's claim as laird. Dougal's infamous cockle game takes place. He was enjoying the game. We also see young Rupert and Angus causing mischief. They were watching from the hole that Dougal was doing sex with someone. At the same time, lawyer reached there, and he requested him to come for gathering. Dougal said, I'll come when I'll finished. Dougal and Colum were talking to one other about the successor. Colum said, let me be a successor because I'm eldest and wisest. I'm preparing for this since many years. Dougal said, I'm stronger and I'll bring glory to this clan. Dougal was not agree to accept his brother as a successor and said, bend your knee to me. The Frasers arrive and Mrs. Fitz scolds her nephew, Murtagh, for bringing Brian. Murtagh was starring the Ellen. Mrs. Fitz said she is not interested in Mary, so close your eyes. Right on cue, Brian plays a game and ends up bringing attention. He evades questions of identity, which make the men even more suspicious. He said, I didn't see black hair before. From which family you belong, and from where are you? He said, I have to go, my arms are falling off. He hides in the stable and finds Ellen hiding there too. It seems to be love at first sight as they joke around. Before the men can find Brian, he asks her to meet at the bridge and runs off. She agreed to meet him at the bridge. Colum and Dougal welcome the Grants. They came for condolences. Grant's leader introduced his son Malcolm and advisor Henry. Malcolm met with Ellen and shared the old memories with her. She welcomes and thanks him for coming. Wanting an alliance between the Grants and Mackenzies, Ned strikes a conversation with Henry, the Grants' new English advisor. Henry doesn't reveal much about himself except that he met the Grants in Inverness. But Ned is more interested in the thwarted raid and learns that the Grants are not behind it. Like the future laird he is, Colum tries to call the shots, which irks Dougal. Colum said, we must welcome the Grants because we'll have a support if any one of yous be a laird. Grants has 300 men in command. Dougal said, my 3 men will be enough for 300 Grants, and I'm not interested to ally with Grants. Outside, Jocasta watches Murtagh, who watches Ellen. Malcolm once again tries to woo Ellen, who makes excuses and runs off. This upsets Malcolm, and he leaves the gathering. Ellen reached at bridge by horse, riding to meet Brian. Ellen and Brian have a proper introduction at the bridge. Both were standing on the opposite side of bridge. He asked her name. She told him that I'm Ellen Mackenzie. And she asked his name. He told that he's Brian Fraser, son of Simon Fraser. They are shocked to learn that they are from different clans, but they cannot stop thinking of each other. Brian caught her hand, and she said, my family will never allow us to marry. There'll be more obstacles ahead. Brian promised to make a merry with her at every condition. Murtagh wins the boar hunt, which allows Jocasta a reason to approach him. She is attracted to him, but is hurt when she realizes that he likes Ellen. She is self-depreciating, but surprisingly, Murtagh comments that like her sister, Jocasta can never be overshadowed. During dinner, the Mackenzie brothers get worried as a rumor spreads that Ellen has been taken by Malcolm. Their servant also confirms that last time she was seen with Malcolm. Dougal storms off to save Ellen as he is frustrated by Colum's passive nature. Colum said, we must talk and discuss the matter, but Dougal said you can use your mind, but I'll use my blade to solve the issue. Ned tried to stop him, but Dougal didn't stop. However, Ned sees through Colum's act. They can demand financial compensation from the Grants for kidnapping and assaulting Ellen. And with Dougal itching for a fight, his claim to lairdship would also weaken if he did something rash like kill Malcolm. It cuts to Dougal and his men attacking Malcolm's retinue. Henry takes a Mackenzie hostage and forces Dougal to see reason. Dougal said, my sister Ellen is missing, and she was with Malcolm's last time. Henry told him that I didn't kidnap her. Ellen is not with us. You can see. Malcolm promises revenge for the attack. After her meeting with Brian, Ellen comes home to a frantic Mrs. Fitz telling her of the attack and promise of vengeance, because they thought that Grants kidnapped you. She went to meet her brothers. She confronts her brothers, and a blame game begins. They asked her, where were you? She told them that she wasn't with Grants. Colum said, then where? She didn't told anything else. Colum makes things worse by pointing out that she needs to listen to her brothers if she wishes to live her lavish life when the next laird is chosen. Ellen is shocked and recalls a similar conversation with her father. Red Jacob had agreed that his sons aren't heir material, but Ellen cannot be chosen as she is a woman. Ellen was taking a bath and thinking about the Brian. She runs off, and the men discuss how to deal with the Grants. Dougal leaves as he doesn't agree with Colum's wish for peace. Ned suggested Colum to be a laird. Colum said, "You'll be close to me, as my father kept you close for year." Ned is once again surprised by Colum's scheming, as the boy suggests giving Ellen to Malcolm as an olive branch. They don't have the money for compensation, and Red Jacob's promise that Ellen doesn't have to marry for the sake of clan. It is the 20th century, and Julia and Henry Beecham are in Inverness for holiday. They have left their daughter, Claire, with Henry's brother. Julia is pregnant, and the couple wonders how to break the news to little Claire. A deer comes in their way, and the car crashes. The couple is swept away by the river, and they land near Craignadan. Julia looks for help while Henry fixes his shoe. Suddenly, she screams and is gone. As Henry looks for her, he hears the hum of the stones. Episode 2 of Outlander. Blood of My Blood begins in 1917 in Belgium. World War I was in full force. Other army attack was very vigorous. Henry and other soldiers saved themselves, but one soldier, Private Charlton, was missed. Henry wants to save his man, and he requested his captain to allow him to bring him back because Henry promised him not to left anyone behind. But his captain refuses. Private Charlton suffering from blood because one bullet was stubbed into her belly. He rescues him anyway, timing the attacks. Coulton gave him a letter to send it to her mother. The captain is moved by his heroics, but warns him of his recklessness. During the interludes, Henry writes letters to whoever will read them. He writes that I'm writing from Western Front. I learned different ways to suffer in critical situation. Countless way to die. I lost many friends. And talking about death being kinder than war. Julia has paused her education to work at the London War Office. She is interested in biochemistry and has a photographic memory. She is also involved in the women suffragette protests and wants to get a degree. Her latest task is censoring the soldiers' letters. She is intrigued by Henry's letter, which is addressed to the London Times. He mentioned that I supposed I could have written this letter to my brother. But I realized that every man in Passchendaele is a brother of mine. Only here, you see, brother slays brother in a world where their father is dead. This is an open letter to ask sincerely that what is there to live for? If God is not dead, then maybe he has forgotten us. I'm talking about what do we fight for and what we are dying for. She decides to answer him, talking about hope and nature. She writes, "You asked a very difficult question, but I'm reply you. I often wonder that why must we live through this abominable war? I don't know, but naturalist in me finds me comfort in the arms of Mother Nature. Nature always find a way. I'm reminded a raindrop, never too small or insignificant to make a difference, beautifully evaporates and falling as precipitation joining the river and becomes ocean. We, too, are shaped and changed by our suffering until we are strong enough like a water to carve our way through rock. I've known suffering from grief when my parents was died. I paused my study and decided to small contribution to the war effort. So I know what it is to feel alone and to ask why. So take a deep breath, and England is still here. Do not give up, Lieutenant." He is pleasantly surprised by her response, and they start corresponding. They started to send letter to each other. It turns romantic, and he tries to take leave to see her. As the war gets worse, he goes AWOL for 2 weeks. He didn't reply to her letter, and Julia become worried, because both are falling in love with each other. Finally, he shows up in London, and they are relieved to see each other alive. They have a whirlwind romance, marrying and moving in together. He gets her a ring with a gemstone. However, he has PTSD, and he could not forget the scene of war. He cried, and she is there for him every time he panics. She hugs him and controls his feelings. He feels comfort and hope for life. It cuts to the present, or well to the past, with Julia accidentally traveling to the 18th century. She was worried and calling Henry, but she didn't find. She engraves SWK on a stone in case Henry arrives, and then goes looking for help. She asks some passengers either they saw any man with blue eyes and wavy hair. They said, "No, we have accident with motor car and we were separated." Unfortunately, she is kidnapped by the Connors. Henry accidentally time travels as well and finds Julia's note. He makes his way to Inverness and ends up in an inn. When Julia waked up, she finds herself in Castle Leather. Connors sell her to Lovat to pay off their debt. She begs and pleads her case, but Lovat refuses to let her go and made her maidservant, while Brian tries to help her. Henry was wondering to find his wife Julia. He went to a place and asked them either they saw a Lady Julia. "She is lost." They said no. Then Malcolm pays for his ale. He sees notices dated 1714 and is confused. He accidentally stops Malcolm from making a bad deal with the Campbells. Annoyed, the Campbells almost kill him, but Malcolm saves him. Malcolm said, "Tell me, what did you said, and what does it mean?" Henry told him in detail. Then Malcolm requests to him to tell these words to my father. They took him with themselves. Meanwhile, Julia tries to appeal to Mistress Porter and is shocked to learn she is in 1714. She said, "How is it possible? I have a husband and daughter, Claire. I need to get back to them." Porter takes pity on her confusion and warns her of Lovat's wandering hands. Henry isn't faring any better as he is taken to the Grant House to explain what he meant, and we learn that Henry is a lawyer. Henry told them that legal paperwork is very necessary if you want to buy properties from Campbell's. Isaac Grant said, "Anything other do you want to tell us?" Henry said, "It's an observation that your advisor is misrepresenting you for coins." Isaac Grant, the laird, is surprised as Henry reveals that his advisor has been bribed by the Campbells. A young archbug proves Henry right, and Grant makes him his new advisor and gives him access to his assets to look for Julia. The tides haven't turned for Julia yet as she gets to work on the Leathers' castle. One day, she steals a map to Inverness. Lovat finds her in his study and tries to force himself on her. She makes an excuse and runs off. She makes her escape, but Brian spots her. She begs him that "I don't belong from here. I have to go to find my husband. Please let me go." He is sympathetic, but tries to stop her and warn her of the repercussions. She runs anyway and is caught by the brute. Lovat tries to punish her, and Brian takes the blame. He gets 20 lashes for it, and Julia is shocked. Mr. Bug showed Henry the head of previous advisor. It has been a month since the Beecham's time travel and the Mackenzie gathering. Ned approaches Henry with the offer of betrothal between Ellen and Malcolm. Henry isn't interested as Isaac has asked for Dougal's head, not his sister's hand. Ned offers to look for Julia, and Henry gives in. At the end of Outlander, Blood of My Blood Episode 2, Julia writes a letter to Henry. "My dearest husband, my last memory with you was at Circle of Stones. There was a deafening sound like an angry swarm of bees. Then you were gone, or perhaps I was. Perhaps I'm dead. Perhaps I've lost my mind. Have I fallen looking through the glass? My dearest Julia, everywhere I turn my face to find you, but I could see you. Each day I am forced to play a role, to wear a mask of bravery. The memory of you and Claire is my hope. Without you I am adrift, a man lost in a sea of uncertainty and longing. I'm the same as I was, made with love for you, our beautiful Claire and unborn child. But my circumstances has changed. There are some obstacles in our path. I don't know how this letter could possibly reach you. Perhaps it will be simply a record of my thoughts. I'll find my way back to you. No matter the distance or time that separates us, I will not rest until we are reunited. You are surely at home with our beloved daughter Claire. How could I bear this otherwise? Kiss her for me. Tell her I love her. I promise to find a way to both of you, just as the first letter found me. You are my anchor, my love, my reason for enduring this madness. Sealed with a kiss, Henry. They both address their letter to SWAK. Sealed with a kiss. Episode 3 of Outlander. Blood of My Blood begins with Ellen having a wet dream about Brian. They were doing a romance in dream. Her servant came and told her that everyone is very happy to hear that Ellen Mackenzie will be betrothed with Malcolm Grant. Her good mood is ruined when she learns of her engagement to Malcolm Grant. Ellen went to talk her brother Colum. He told her that your marriage will mend the damages between the clan. Dougal is responsible for all these displeasures. Why am I being punished for his sins? I'm more valuable here for you. Can you not see that? I can give you guidance and help. We can start trade with Grants instead of doing marriage. Dad hasn't been gone for a month, and you are going against all that he promised. Colum said, Dad's promises died with him. She tries to negotiate with Colum, but he believes she has nothing to offer. She's heartbroken as they were the closest siblings. He's troubled as well, but doesn't change his mind. News spreads about the betrothal, and Murtagh is upset. Murtagh told Brain not to stay here more. We have to go now. Brian asked the reason to move earlier. Then Murtagh told him that I've fallen in love with Ellen Mackenzie. But my auntie told him that Ellen will be married to Malcolm Grant. Brian is shocked as well on hearing the news. He also feels a little guilty, as Murtagh insists that Ellen is the love of his life despite never having spoken to her. Back in Leathers, Mistress Porter checked the bed of Julia. Julia asked, is there something wrong? She told her, you have been here for a month, but I didn't see a blood from your skirt. She figures out that Julia is pregnant. She tries to help with an abortion as she knows the hardships of having an illegitimate child. Turns out, Julia asked Porter that I've heard that Brian called you a ma. Brian is your son out of wedlock. She is Brian's mother, but Porter said he's Laird's son. However, Julia insists on keeping her child. Meanwhile, Ellen tries to scheme with Dougal as he doesn't want to ally with the Grants. He suggests he can help her break the engagement if he becomes Laird. Dougal think that they can demand more after this alliance. Marcus Macrennick was talking to Dougal about the alliance with the Grant. Marcus Macrennick asked him, am I right to assume that Clan Mackenzie will continue in their loyalty? Dougal responds that I'll fight to restore a Catholic king to the throne. My brother's mind is changeable as weather vane. He has extended his favor to Grants. Colum promised to arrange a marriage of Sister Ellen with Malcolm Grants. Colum can't lead our clan to glory. Unfortunately, he also hints at giving Ellen to Marcus should he become Laird. As expected, Marcus promises Dougal the support of all the Jacobites. That night, Mrs. Fitz sympathizes with Ellen. Instead of Dougal, should one of her former suitors, McKinney, becomes the next Mackenzie Laird, he'd be worse than Colum. However, Ellen believes that despite being a pawn, she still has some tricks up her sleeves. I'm stuck like a piece of chessboard, but I've to play it. The next morning, we see McKinney campaigning for votes. He has already won over most of the men. The Mackenzie sisters discuss their future, and Jocasta doesn't seem to support Dougal. Jocasta is the one who breaks the news that Dougal has promised Ellen to Marcus to make his own alliance. So we have to wait and see who'll be Laird and which alliance will be honored. Ellen is frustrated with the way she's being seen as an asset. Our spying Frasers return home. Porter offered them a food because they were hungry. Brian asked about the Laird Lovat. Porter said, I'll send Julia Follow to you with a tray of refreshments. Brian decides to share all that he's learned to keep Julia out of Lovat's eye. He has another agenda as well. He tells his father about Ellen's betrothal, because Dougal beat Grant's son Malcolm. Then Colum decided to alliance with Grants to handle the issue. Lovat will lose his alliance with the Grants if Malcolm Grant marries into the rival clan. Unfortunately, to break the engagement, Lovat decides to ruin Ellen's reputation and decided to write a letter to Isaac. Much to Brian's dismay, Brain said there should be another honorable way to resolve the things, because Brian also loved Ellen. Lovat said you have to learn more in future, my son. On top of that, Murtagh thinks Brian is trying to break the engagement for him. There is drama in Leoch as Ellen told Ned about the alliance of Dougal with Jacobites. Ned was worried and said when a laird died, things comes out of the box. Now both brothers have different support. Ellen told him that my brother and my family, we are the one who will disappear. If McKinney becomes laird, I've been trying to persuade one of your brother to concede to other, but neither will yield. The Mackenzie brothers need to unite. A flashback shows Red Jacob sending his sons on a raid as a test to see who deserves to be his heir. When they came back, we saw Column Legs was broken, but they didn't tell anything to Red Jacob about the incident. Ned called the doctor to check him. Red Jacob ordered Dougal to take him in bed. Ellen was taking care of him. One day Jacob came to meet Column and asked about the health. Then Column told him the whole incident, what was happened when they went to the raid. Dougal waylays them by attacking a rival clan. In the confusion, Column falls from his horse and breaks his leg. Red Jacob is disappointed that Column couldn't control his own brother and even thinks of him as weak for not healing quickly. He was gone out of the room by saying that you're a cripple. While trying to plead with him, Column brushes off Ellen and falls off the stairs and breaks his other leg. She's the one who looks after him. At present, McKinney was playing the game of strengthen. He offers to Column to play with me, but Column refused him. McKinney mocks Column's legs. Column is upset and Ellen tries to comfort him. She once again offers her role as an advisor, but he believes it's a lost cause. In another flashback, Ellen watches as Red Jacob whips Dougal for risking Column. Dougal claims his attack was worth it and blames Column for being weak. Jacob calls him a fool for not seeing the big picture. Your attack can cause a danger for clan. At present, Ellen scolds Dougal for laughing about McKinney humiliating Column. She calls him selfish and claims their father didn't think he was fit to be laird. But if McKinney becomes laird, it's the end for them. You are so busy to prove his brother not a fit for laird. They need to stand united. Next, Ellen called Ned and tells Ned she has a plan to get rid of McKinney. Maybe her brother be more receptive. It's time for the oath-taking ceremony. Malcolm resumes wooing Ellen now that she's promised to him. She pretends to be receptive. Henry warns him of his scheming. Ned cozies up with Malcolm and McKinney. Column and Dougal arrive with honor. However, Dougal steps aside and Column takes the throne. He starts his speech as I'm eldest son of my father. I've learned a lot of things to handle the crises of our clan, but my legs is broken, so I couldn't take part in a war. I can't lead the clan alone. I'll make my brother as a warrior chieftain. He vows to be the brain, while Dougal vows to be the legs of his brother and sword arm in the field. I swear to wield my holy iron to defend the clan honor in wartime and peace. I gave you my fealty. Pledge you my loyalty in the name of Clan Mackenzie. Column also showed his fealty with him. All were happy that both brothers are united. McKinney questions the legitimacy of sharing lairdship duties between two men. Ned brings proof that it's possible with Column as the peacetime laird and Dougal as the wartime chieftain. The Jacobites start pledging their fealty to the brothers, and McKinney is forced to do the same. The Mackenzie sisters are impressed as they realize that it is Ellen's doing. They also said, "You did it artfully as Dad would have." That night, Henry and Ned drink to the success of the gathering. True to his word, Ned enlists Unahay, the brothel madam, to help find Julia if he'll pay money. Henry agreed with her to pay the cost. As for Julia, she continues to write to Henry. She is worried that she cannot hide her pregnancy any longer. Bala is keeping an eye on her. Porter is keeping Lovat at bay, but it won't last. The stress is getting to Julia, and she is starting to lose hope. She burns her letters, but promises to keep trying. She believes that one day they'll again reunited. But at the end, she writes, "Forgive me, what am I doing now?" To ensure her child is protected, she sleeps with Lovat to frame him as the father. Episode 4 of Outlander, Blood of My Blood, begins with Julia spilling milk. Porter believes they have angered the fairies, and Julia does her best to appease them. In her letter to Henry, She wrote that my parents taught me to believe on God, but she confesses that she may have started believing in fairies. In a flashback to the 20th century, they are preparing for their firstborn. Having a shared love for Peter Pan, they agree to name the kid Peter if it is a boy. While Henry jokes about the gender, he assures Julia that he'll love their child even if it is a girl. At present, she again writes on a page to Henry that she's worried that her second child may be taken from her. I've done to keep what I can, to keep my baby safe, but I will never stop trying to get back to you. Lovat is arriving home after some business, and she gives herself rashes to avoid his advances. To make some quick money, the brothel madam claims to have found Julia and sends one of her brunette girls to Henry. He is upset, but also relieved that Julia is not in a brothel. He refuses the brunette's advances, but pays her anyway. Later, Isaac has Henry write a letter to Lovat. Without evidence, the Grants won't reject Ellen. But Lovat is determined to find evidence to ruin Ellen, which worries Brian. Lovat is about to approach Julia, but he panics on seeing the rashes. He lets her go to the apothecary, but with a chaperone. Brian offers, but it is still disappointing as he won't let her escape. In Leoch, Colum announces that they will be participating in Beltane, a festival being held in 2 months. Ellen has to accompany Malcolm as his betrothed. She is upset the marriage is still happening and begs him to call it off. She is not interested to marry Malcolm. Did you forget the agreement that we did on gathering? Tell them I've changed the mind. You made a terrible mistake in recommending your sister as a wife to solve the problems. I don't care what you tell him. Colum reveals that Isaac kills those who spurn his family. Plus they are in debt for which they need Grant money. Grants are wealthy. He also suggests she be a spy for them, and she is furious. She lashes out at Dougal as well, who is suddenly docile. She realizes that he's just biding his time till Colum fails so Dougal can replace him. Next, Isaac orders Henry to collect the rent for quarter day. He has increased the taxes 1 shilling more, and Henry has no authority to allow any IOUs. Bug accompanies him to ensure there's no stealing. Henry started his job to collect the rent. First person gave a rent with 1 shilling increase. But one lady hasn't enough money to pay her rent, so she gave honey instead of coin. Mr. Buggs refused to take this honey, because Laird will not be pleased. Henry said, I'm accepting this honey. One more man refused to pay the increase in rent. He gets violent as the tenants don't have the money. A desperate tenant attacks, and Henry beats him up. He gets PTSD and nearly kills the man. He stops on seeing Julia's necklace. Bug just enjoys Henry's suffering. If you didn't get all coins from these people, then it'll be your head on a pike. That night, Henry has a nightmare, just like he used to in the 20th century. Back in his timeline, Julia would comfort him by singing a lullaby. Presently, Bug woke up him and asked, what's wrong with you, man? You're screaming the name of Julia in your sleep. He said, I'm a nightmare. Bug looks suspicious as Henry is jittery and sings the lullaby himself. Meanwhile, Brian and Julia bond as he is amused with the way she faked the rashes. She asked him, why did you live in leather? You have to start his family. Brian said, I left this place last year, but then I came back because I missed my mother. Then Julia told him that you're a good son and mother is the name of God in the lip and heart of the children. Not too far away, Henry recalls how he'd been upset about a national lottery, and Julia had explained that it gives hope for those who has no money during the war, so politicians want to raise money quickly. Henry introduces a lottery system in which the winner won't have to pay rent for the next year. Unintentionally, the tenants who can afford to buy multiple tickets easily cover for those who cannot even afford the rent. Bug is annoyed by the loophole, but Henry points out that money is money. People were surprised and started to pay money, but Bug warned him that Laird's instruction is cleared. Do whatever you want. Julia is surprised as he asks her to send a message to Ellen. Julia said, I'm with my baby, and I don't want to put my baby in any danger. Why did you not tell me earlier? She told him, I'm here to find my husband. Brian makes a deal with her. If she helped him, then he'll help Julia to escape, and she agrees. Brian told her about Murtazani, who's Ellen's maid. She'll help you. Back at Leoc, Julia talked to the Mrs. Fitz, and during discussion, Julia asked about the Lady Ellen. Fitz told her to take rest, and I've to go to Ellen to give him dinner. Julia takes advantage of Mrs. Fitz's kindness to gain entry. She then sneaks into Ellen's room and reveals that Brian wants to meet her. Ellen is conflicted because her brothers hate the Fraser. They'll kill him if they saw him. They'll have no mercy. Both are watching my every move. But Julia pushes her to make the choice she won't regret. In her rant, Ellen lets it slip that she may have to dance with Malcolm and the Fae on the Inverness Hill during Beltane. Julia realizes that the location is Craignadan, from where she time-traveled. Julia asks, "Do you love Brain?" "Yes, from my heart." "Then go to meet him. If you don't go, then it'll hurt you forever." They easily sneak out and find Brian waiting nearby. Julia asked, "Why did you come here?" "I just want to see in your eyes. Will you marry with Malcolm Grant?" "Look into my eyes and see I don't want to marry him." The couple professes their love to each other. Julia told him that I'll find a way out of my betrothal. Brian promises to help Ellen. Julia hears Dougal and runs off with Brian. Dougal arrived and asked, "What are you doing here at late night?" "I couldn't sleep, so I came outside to pray. I didn't want any walls between me and the Lord. Lord can hear you in your chamber. You should live there. You will be free when you will be married with Malcolm Grant." Turns out, Ellen is under house arrest, out of fear that she may run off before the wedding. As they leave, Julia offers to distract Malcolm during Beltane so Brian and Ellen can meet. In exchange, she wants Brian's help in looking for Henry, as she thinks he's in Inverness. Because both are separated from this place, Ellen came with a list of all guests that'll be invited. Ellen schemes as well, as she suddenly tells Colum that she won't refuse the marriage for the clan's sake. He is suspicious for a minute, but chooses to believe her. There is trouble at the Grants, as Isaac is unhappy with the lottery. Henry told him that we collected double the amount by introducing a lottery. Despite raising double the amount, he refuses to give the prize. Henry barely holds his rage as he offers to cover the winner's rent from his earning. "You'll pay from your pocket." Henry said, "Aid, yes." "You're foolish." Isaac comments that Highlanders consider kindness to be a weakness, but lets it go this one time. Once Henry leaves, Bug offers to kill him as he finds him strange. Isaac seems to agree as he tells Bug to keep an eye on Henry. In the 20th century, Henry apologizes for scaring Julia with his PTSD. He claims he's broken and a burden to my wife. She insists that he's not, and that she and their child will be his light. He decides to name the child Claire, if it's a girl, as it means bright. At present, he goes back to the brunette hooker as he has nowhere to go. She asked him either he found her lady or not. He confesses that the woman he's looking for is his wife. She is apologetic and tries to comfort him. He refuses and just lies down. At the end of Outlander, Blood of My Blood Episode 4, Lovat tries to sleep with Julia. She stops him, announcing that she's carrying his child. He's delighted and hopes it's a boy. Porter is present and she congratulates him and Julia.